a natural edge. I tried to describe to him what a natural edge was, and he wasn't seeing it. So I brought this along, so everybody can see it. If you take a log, cut it in half, or thereabouts, and you end up with a piece that you can cut something out of, and you still have, you still have options with this piece, because you can take this piece, and you can put which is what we're going to do today, you can turn in, it's a little bit bigger, you turn all this away, leave this, grab this with a chuck, and turn a natural edge bowl out that way. And I think that my experience with this, going to art shows and that sort of thing, is people will pick these up, and there's always the how do you do that kind of conversation that comes along, if they're not lay people. And of course, if you got this and you like the grain the way it is, you can still turn the bowl this way. You got some options, and that's what I wanted to show. And you can grab it this way, as opposed to being stuck with one shape. You can do a lot of different things using that chuck, and that was kind of the impetus behind purchasing that and having it available to me.
I think last time I brought in a bowl when I left the bark at the bottom.
Right. Yeah, and see, having the chuck, you can't use the chuck for everything, you just can't, but on pieces this size and bigger, I turn some, I don't turn them big enough to bend the shaft on the lathe, but if you're doing that, you probably want to put a faceplate or something on it. Anyways, that's what we're doing. Oh, one other thing, and most guys know about this, but if you're going to turn, if you're going to cut a piece out like I did, I think everybody knows if you take I don't have one in here, if you take a compass, and you turn, what happens is the compass goes over like that, and over like that over here, and straight here, and when you follow that line and you cut it out, you end up with an oval. And it's not a big problem, because when you put the oval on the lathe's going to make it round. But what happens is you think you're going to make a bowl this big, and you're making a bowl that big. So when you're approaching a piece of on a log, you have a series. I probably didn't bring one to use. You find a, I think that's one. You find a circle. It doesn't have to be out of anything special, but I do like to poke a hole in the middle and set it on there. And then if I take a felt pen, you hold it straight this way. You don't go over here and follow it. You just go around this way. And you cut that with a bandsaw, you're going to end up with something that's fairly round. It's not going to be perfect, but you won't lose as much wood. And one of the things I like to do when I'm cutting that is I take jam it in there tight so it doesn't move, and it also gives you a reference point on your piece of wood. You did it? Yeah. So every time you cut a log, you might need a different. None of these fit, let's say. Any scrap, anything out laying around, scrap piece of plexiglass or whatever I got, and I just cut one. Then I use my compass, because I know how big I want it, and cut one. So I got a pile of these about that big. You kind of sort through them, find one, cut it. The other, just a quick mention. Bandsaw blades. If you're cutting with bandsaw, there's a blade. It's by Wolf. If you Google search blades to cut green wood, this one pops up, and they will custom make a blade to whatever size your bandsaw is. It's a little bit grabby for normal work, but it cuts through this and cuts a nice clean. Does a great job. Timberwolf, yeah, Timberwolf blades. And I think they're safer Otherwise, you end up pushing on it harder than you should, and it just doesn't do a good job with standard planes. I keep it on there, use it for. So
You're gonna start out first, between centers on that?
I'm going to, yeah.
Then you go to the sunken grab chuck.
And I want to get to the chuck as fast as I can. It drives me wild when you're cutting between centers and the spur center spins. You got to be so careful with that, so that we'll see that one here. So I try to cut that spigot on there as quickly as possible and do most of the cutting with it on a chuck, so it's not going to spin. Otherwise, it can drive it crazy. That might be all right.
Did you film it? Yeah.
Good. What I did, and this is something I learned from Steve, and I think he showed most of us. You just hold on to this, so you got it on low speed. And this thing here acts just like a Forstner bit, and it bites its way in. And finally, if you keep turning the tailstock in, it'll put enough pressure on you, gotta let go. I don't think it's ever gonna hurt anybody, but what it does is anchors that spur in there pretty good so it bites. Hopefully, I don't want to jinx myself, hopefully this thing isn't gonna spin too much because I want it as rapidly as possible to get us on the chuck. Start with just a standard bowl gouge, and I'm using the full size. And the small lathe, you ought to take a chance. Just gonna try it. Even this up a little bit, so I take the wobble out of it a little bit. Those of you who've ever demoed on this lathe know what I'm talking about. Just finding this long tool rest is a godsend. Every time I demoed on here, you have to stop and move the tool rest all the time. So this is great. Always have your tool solid on the tool rest. All I'm trying to do here is get it so it's even enough that I can make a spin. I think that this particular chuck, we're going to use the chuck that belongs to the club. I'm going to make that 2 1/4 inch spigot right there.
Oops, sorry.
Which means they need to come out on the near side 1 1/4 inch, give or take. So, yeah, I can't see that. It's about 2 1/2, so we got to come in a little bit. Check the view right here. That's going to get pretty close to 2 1/4. Yep. That's where I want to be for the spigot. I want to make it about 3/16 deep. Bounce the wood off the force. That's probably enough to grab a hold of that and hang on to it for a long time. Now I see.
Why tenon instead of a recess?
What's that?
Why tenon instead of a recess?
I think they hold tighter, and when I'm done with this, I don't want to deal with that recess. When I'm done with it, I want somebody to say, how did you hang on to that thing? That's where I'm always aiming for. How did you do that? How did you hold on to that piece? And that's why I do it that way. then I've got to cut this away. That's the disadvantage to it, but I just like the results there. That's just me. I do know, I think Steve brought this up there. Somebody didn't have a lot to do, did some research on what holds the best. And it said that squeezing it, that you can actually put more pressure on. I don't know. I think if you'll, that does have a ring. A lot of your chucks where they've got those rings on the inside.
You turn towards this one right here.
Oh, okay. Rings on the inside. I don't know if you can see that.
Right now they
The
can.
ridges, they can grab it. On the outside, now this one does have ridges. I have to look. A lot of them I've seen are just smooth. Like I've got some Novas, and there's nothing out here to grab. What I like to do, since this is going to be on its chuck, is I want to clear this area in here so when I reach in behind it, it doesn't mess me up. There it wants to spin. If I ever get inventive, I'm going to invent a tapered drive that's square. I just hate when this thing spins. Okay. I'm not going to increase the speed right now. I'll leave it where it was.
Well, yeah, I did a little bit. No, I'm finished. I was trying to make it work. Well, I see it.
You ever use this chuck? It's got a funny feel to it, really.
No, I've never
You're using a chuck, anything like this, especially with the keys, they all have two ports where you can tighten them. And if you've ever been done machine work or a machinist, like Lawrence, I'll tell you, you tighten off both sides always because there's always a little bit of slack in there. The other thing I didn't do, that if I suspect the wood is wet and the grain's going this way, before I set this on there, I'll take super glue and go all the way around it, give it a few minutes to harden up. Because otherwise, if it's ever going to separate anywhere, it's going to separate right there. That's where it's going to, if you do something really goofy or crazy, or have a catch, then that's where it's going to be. So and that kind of helps take that away. Okay. Oops. A little too tight. Now I want to get this thing round and balanced up as much as I can. See, I can set this on there. I'm taking no spring again. I'm riding the devil. I can ride the belt around. I got to take off quite a bit to get back where I stuck. Oops. That wasn't a catch, that was just an equipment failure here. Okay. Here we go again. switch because reaching in there with that big chisel, although you can do it, it's a little scary. Right in here, right in next to where the jaws are, I'm going to leave that. Putting a little recess in, and that's going to be the bottom of the bowl. Get that far. I'm turning this handle, it's in my left hand, turning it as we go to address the wood. Let's take a look, see what our shapes are.
Things like that too.
Got quite a bit to take off, I think, up here. So I've got to get this up to here to get the shape of the bowl. It looks like we're pretty close as far as here and this side. And that's when I watched the pros doing it, they would adjust, they'd stop like right at this point and readjust so that when they were done, these two were pretty darn close. Now, I was extremely skillful in doing that myself, or if you want, extremely lucky. I'd go with the lucky, but that's kind of what you're looking for. You don't want this side way down here and this one up here. And you change that by loosening this and moving the tailstock point around so you kind of get what you want. But I'm happy with that, very happy with that so far. Again, as I'm pulling to my right, I'm turning that chisel so it's almost parallel with the floor. And I just want to take this down and get that rubber, and then I'll come back and finish that. There's got a crack in here, which I'm not going to worry about. We can fill that later at another time, but for now it's not important. God, I'm wondering, maybe we'll do this. Okay.
Save the bark.
I'm going to try and save the bark. Yeah, I think I can. I was looking at some pieces I was going to bring in yesterday, and they got wet on this last, and the bark all kind of shrunk away. But this looks like it's fairly tight. As soon as I cut past the bark, I'll stop, and I'm going to put some CA on it. Try to save. Just a comment on if you've never turned a natural edge bowl, the more you can get it, looking at this silhouette here, the more you can get it so that it's shallow rather than an acute angle like this, the easier it is. Especially your first one you do, if you're smart, you'll have it. In other words, you'll cut all of this right here out of there. So once you get to the inside of the bowl, it makes it a lot easier. I don't know, I think it looks nice too, but that goes back to design and shape. I'm going to do a little bit of that now. The height of that's too high. There we go. Shear scrape up in here. Talk about shear scraping, if you're not familiar with that term, is I'm holding the chisel, I don't know where to hold this time, hold it like this, so that
You're not on camera.
not on camera. I'm holding it so that it's at right angles to the work, and it's not shear, it's not cutting, but it's actually shearing, it's kind of scraping. And you can use the top, the bottom, or the top. Lawrence, if you get a chance to see Lawrence turn, see he does this a lot, and when he's done, he doesn't need to sand. You know, that's all he saw was sanding, so he cuts that stuff, still have to sand. I don't have that problem. there is
You
gonna
doing
come
right,
out.
Mark?
What's that?
I bet one, but you're doing it.
Well, you know, you talk about getting close to the chuck. When I do, and some of these, most of you have seen those the bulls with the Indian motif, and in order to do that, you have to get over here like this. And the only problem I have with the Powermatic is all the on-off, the bolt that stops it from turning. Everything is right in front like this. One way makes a great machine where there's just a small piece here for a big machine where you can work. And this isn't bad, it's just the machine's too small for this. But the Powermatic, they've got problems. They really need to redesign that, I think. Because anytime you start cutting back here, I have a bad habit when I'm cutting at home, I reach back in here and shut the machine off all the time. It's just crashing nuts. Let's see if I can finish this off here. Once you get up into here, now you're cutting air. And what you're looking at is, instead of looking at the cutter, you're really looking at up here, you know, what you're hitting up here. You can hear it pumping. Up here. And let's see how close I am to getting it all out of there. That's gone. Yeah, just a little flat right there, which isn't too bad. A little flat right there. Get that out of there. All gone. So there's my shape. Now I'm going to do a very minimal amount of shear scraping, but I've got some machine marks here and I'll do my best to. I didn't bring my shear scraper, I forgot, but you can turn this tool over this way, which is what I'm doing. And if you shear scrape with the top, you really get a negative angle scrape job. I think it's really good for this job. Try to get up in that corner.
So you're cutting with the top wing
I'm
right
cutting with the top wing right now. It made me a little nervous. I saw Lawrence over there starting to move away from the trajectory where this ball might go. You're actually cutting above center, and you want to get a little bit of an angle instead of straight this way. Get a little bit of an angle so it actually shears stuff off. And it should take all your cut marks off. And really, what I should do is do a better job. Do it a little bit faster. A little better. And it's still got a little wobble in it because the front is not balanced because the wings don't stick up the same, and they never will. So it's always going to have that little bit of wobble in it. And that's a fairly smooth. We got some machine marks here that'll stand up pretty easy. That's that for the outside. Now, inside. I'm gonna take this completely off. And I always take this thing out when I leave it on my machine at home. I got lots of room because it likes to take the hide off the inside of the back of your elbow. And always, when you're cutting, see, there's a lot of thread there all of a sudden. And you don't have anything to hold it on in front of you. Jeez, I don't like the feel of that.
Yeah.
Okay, taken all the slack out of the threads, at least I think. Now, pretty easily.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee doing this that it's going to stay, but it looks like it might. I hear more and more people, especially at the symposiums, say that they always take the bark off because it's going to come off no matter what you do eventually anyways. But a lot of people think it's cool to have that sitting in there. So let's see what happens.
They have some stuff on there, but they appreciate it.
You know, one of the things you can do, and normally what I would do is sand this before, if I wasn't doing a demo, sand this up so it's pretty well sanded on the machine. Then I always use an oil for a base, so I would put an oil base on here and then come back with this. But we're skipping that step today because I just don't want to waste time doing that. I've been experimenting using acetone for accelerant. I found that it works, but it doesn't work as well. It's a little bit slower, not much. You ready? Okay. Just for normally at this point, if you want to, I'm not going to, but you can go ahead and use a chuck and a 2 or 3 inch cutter where you want to cut the middle out of it. I don't know, it's just something I don't do, and and it may speed your project up a little bit, as I mentioned. That metal down a little bit. Switch here, you hear that kind of rumble. I think 5/8 cutting tool kind of overwhelms this lathe. So I'll switch to a smaller piece. And I'm losing a little bit of it, looks like. Well, we'll see what happens. Now I've got it turned over so you're looking right down the angle of the cut. You're looking right down there. It's kind of like a sight on a rifle almost. Got parallel with the outside of the turning. little bit thinner, not too much. At this point, you can't come back into those wings and cut. You really shouldn't. It's pretty easy. What's that?
I'm just watching the delay.
You're leaving the center for strength.
I'm leaving the center for strength, although you don't need that big gob out in the center. I take that off anytime it's not doing anything. This part down in here is giving you a little stability, and it keeps those wings from weaving a little bit. When I switch to the other tool, I can feel that those were moving a little bit, and really, yeah, everything's pretty solid yet. But I wouldn't, if you go any thinner out here, it'll be done with a sander, and you're not going to sand on the machine unless you're sanding in beyond these, and even then it's hard. Now you're down to a hand sander of some sort.
Right there is where that air sander that I showed you comes in.
Right, that's where it comes in. Now you could use one of those down in here, inside, but
The 3-inch.
I like to sand on the lathe, but with the lathe off, on something like this, you know. And really, the stability is not doing much for me right now, especially this part. Now, if I had a lentil like this, if I had cut this out of there with this and this, then I wouldn't be working on it right now. And that's the advantage to doing it.
Even a half-inch hole would help. So even a half-inch hole would help.
Yeah, well, a lot of guys use like a 3/8 inch drill bit about that long with a handle on it, and they mark from the outside how deep they want to go and put that, just hold it by their hand and run it in and stop it. So when you start cutting here, when you hit that hole, you know you're better not go any farther or you're going to have a funnel. Yeah, I noticed it moving, and that won't be good if it hits it. It's really too big to use on the outside. summertime, you start wondering, well, how close am I getting? And you should always check that before you make your funnel. Quite a bit there. Not too bad there. So take a little bit out of center, and that's probably what we're going to do. Steve Promo always takes a file with him when he goes to different machines and files this. I didn't do that, so I get to a certain point and you feel it doesn't want you to slide anymore, so you're pulling it out. Thinking, oh boy, that could be a problem. Just a little thicker than I'd probably leave it, but I think it's probably it's close to where I'd stop. You've got a pretty good split at the end of this. Well, I'm not going to turn it around because you can see how I cut the thing off there. It's pretty simple. So I'm gonna leave it that way because I'm gonna try and fill this crack on the end, put some turquoise or something in it, see if I can save it. And sand. I like to sand, but I use a sander on the lathe with the lathe off and sand it, and then I'll turn it around and take that spigot off. So such as it is. Yes.
Jam chuck?
I use a jam chuck on that, and I won't use it. I'll show you what I brought.